Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious and most merciful, my name is Haroon Riasat Ali. And my roll number is I190730 and I am from section B. We are recording this session for our final project of discrete structure CS211. Ma'am Shafaq Riaz is teaching us this course. So now I will ask my colleague Aveen Khan to please introduce herself and teach us how to install SWI Prolog.
Assalamualaikum, my name is AVEEN NOOR and my roll number is I190443 and I belong to the section CSB. As my colleague stated, we are recording a demo session from Ma'am Shafaq Riaz for section B project for discrete maths. Now I shall share my screen and teach you how to install SWI Prolog. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Aveen, thank you.
Firstly, we shall move to course project B that has been given to us in Google Classroom, then move to project statements. We shall use this link. As you can see, we have reached the SWI Prolog website. We shall now download SWI Prolog, move to stable release, and then download a bit version that is suitable for our computer type. We have used 64-bit version, and we shall now download this. Since we have already installed this, I shall show you how this app looks and how its main also looks. Type SWI in search bar. As you can see, the app is open and this is the main for SWI Prolog. Now my colleague shall show you how to run it using a sample project.
Thank you, Aveen. Now I will share my screen. So let me show you how to open it from scratch. So first we will write SWI Prolog in search bar and we have opened the SWI Prolog. So let me show you the file which I've created for an example program. So let's see. We have a test1 file which is created as .pl, which means prolog file, which I've written some knowledge base and I've wrote some knowledge base and some queries. So first I've wrote that food burger, which means I'm saying that burger is a food. Then I'm saying sandwich is a food, and then I'm saying pizza is a food. Then I'm saying in my knowledge base that for lunch I'm going to have sandwich, and for dinner I'm going to have pizza. So I've made a query that meal X that anything which is eatable and which I've written in my knowledge base is a meal. And then I'm saying that for lunch one I'm going to have lunch, which is sandwich. So let me run this in SWI file. So first we have to open the file. So we can open it by putting uh, square brackets, starting square brackets. Then we have to write the file path like this. So my file is present in C. I will show you. See, it's present in my local disk C. So I've given the path. I can show you how to know where it is present. From there, you can see that our path is C. So you have to write the path first, then the file name, which is test1.pl. So now I will run. So that my SWI prolog is saying true, which means it has compiled my test1.pl. So now I will check for lunch one what I am going to have in my lunch. So sandwich dot. So it's saying true, which means I'm going to have lunch in sandwich. And for lunch one, yes. So now I will see whether I'm going to have pizza for lunch or not. So it's saying false because we are going to have pizza in dinner. So now I will tell you how the second part of my project, that how I imported data from Excel sheet. Let me move to my Excel sheet. So this was the Excel sheet in which data was provided by our instructors. So we have to extract that data in the form of knowledge base. So let me teach you how to extract data for instructors. So for instructors, we needed was the first thing was email, and the second we needed was Adnan Tariq, which is the name of instructor. So first argument was which is email, and the second was the instructor's name. So now I'm going to use a concatenation function of Excel file through which I can concatenate data of both strings. So first we wanted to create a knowledge base for instructor. We'll write instructor, then open bracket. I will close this string, comma that I'm moving. I've put this comma to show Excel file that I'm moving to another string. So that our email is starting from E3, which means E row and third column. And now I needed a comma between these arguments. And now I will put the second argument, which is starting from D3, and then I need a closing bracket and a dot. And now I'm going to close this function. So when I will press enter, it will create a knowledge base for me. So let me put this down. See, it has created a knowledge base for me for all the instructors with their names and email ID. So I've applied this same trick for student database, for instructors, and for classroom details. For mock data sheet, the problem was that data was not arranged in a row column form. So we have to extract each and every detail manually. So that we created exam knowledge base manually by writing each and every statement. So now, this is how we extracted the knowledge base. Now I will move towards my final project file, which I've created like this. So let me go towards the knowledge base. See, we have extracted the course, which is the first course ID and the course name. So the problem was that when we are using Prolog, we cannot use capital letter at the starting of an argument or a function. So for that purpose, we have to use this inverted commas to show Prolog the compiler that we are using strings. So it can treat those as a string. So for we have tackled that problem by putting inverted comma. So now this is how we extracted the knowledge base for students as well, and for instructive teachers, exam date, and the things which were required by the project. Okay, so now I will come towards my queries. So the first query is, let me show you from here, that whether the given function student name has two exams in one day, and the system will reply with yes or no. So I'm starting from odd numbers, and my colleague AVEEN NOOR after my presentation will present you queries related to even numbers. So I will start from my query number one, how I created that and how my SWI is solving and giving me an answer in the form of yes or no. So in input, I am taking student name as input in my function, which is known as double exam. So when I have the student name X, I use the student knowledge base X, from which I am getting the roll number in the form of R. And I send the R into my section, from which I'm getting the section of the student, corresponding student. And from course sections, I'm sending the course section, and I'm getting the ID of the student. See, I've written that X is name of the student, R is the roll number of the student, S is the section of the student, I is the course ID, M is the second course ID of, okay, we are checking two courses whether a person has double exams in one day or not. For D, we are using D for a day, which should be same for the both exams for both exams. L is the student starting time of the exam, Y is the ending time of the exam, and then I is for the course ID, Z is for the room here, day, starting time, ending time, course ID, and Z is the day. And for the second, I am using day because day should be same if a person has double exam. And U is for the start time of the second exam. W is the start time for the second exam time. Then we have M. M is the second course ID of the second course which we are checking, and the G is the room. And then we are, if the condition is true, it will write yes. If the condition is false, it will write no. So let me check my this query. So double exam. Sorry, first I have to load the second file, which is ds.pl. DES stands for discrete structures. So it's saying true that my file has loaded into compiler.
Mhm.
So now I will write double capital exam and the name of student, which I will write my name to test. Riasat. And it's saying yes. Why is it saying yes? Let me show you from the exam datasheet, because I have two exams on day one, which is CS221 and CS218 data structures, because I'm in section B. So I have two exams in one day. So it's saying yes. So now I will move toward query number 3, in which I'm checking whether my exam is colliding or not. So whether I'm like, we have seen that I have exams on same time on one day, which is not a possible thing for a student to give. We cannot give one exam or two exams on one day on same time. So I have to change my time for this data. So I've created a query number 3, which is exam collision, in which X is the course name 1 and Y is the course name 2. I is the course ID, O is the course ID number 2, H is the day, and D is the day 2, and T is the starting time, W is the starting time, which is same in both exam times, and we are using O as a course ID number 2, and G here is for the rooms. So first I've inserted X in my course function to get the ID of my first course, and Y in another course function to get the ID of the second course. Then I'm checking whether they are equal or not. If they are equal, which means they are not colliding because it's the same course, then I'm checking the course exam time for the both exams. So for this, we have checked that they can be different, but it's for the time is same, for the W same, but they should not be different. We have written dot not, and Z is the room ID, and I and O should not be equal because they should not be same course. We are not checking for same course, we are checking for different courses. And then I have written this statement that if my courses are different, and which means that this statements are true. So I have to change the time for a day, which is second, because I don't have an exam on day 2. So I've changed the time for my first course to 2 and time to 9, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. because we don't have an exam on that day. So now I will test my exam collation data query, sorry. So it's exam collision. We need the name of the first data, which is data data structures, and the second one is discrete. Just if if my spellings are right, it should change the time of the first course exam collision. Yes. See, because they were on same exams, so it has changed the time of my first course, which is CS218 to day 2. Time is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So this was my second query. Now I will test my third query, which is query number 5. In query number 5, we are checking that two rooms which have same capacity and have exams on one day can be changed or not. So for this, I will check my is switch possible or not. R is the room 1, T is the room 2, U is the day, and Y is the start time of the exam. See, we have, let me show you from Excel sheet. We have exam on same time of discrete structures and data structures, and there are like we can check the 301 and 30, we can check the same course as well. Like we can check the room 301 and 302, they both have exam on same time of a course can be same and can be different, it doesn't matter in this, but the capacity should be same. So we have 301 and 302, they both have a same capacity, so we can switch them. So now I will write a switch possible is switch switch possible. So first I have to write the room number 1, which is C301, and the second room is C302, and then I have to write the day. I want to check for the day 1, and then I'm sorry for, and then I have to check the start time of the exam, which is 9 colon 00, then colon, then 00, and it should give me true, and it's giving me true. So now I will check for the another condition, it gave me true. I will see whether my other rooms with like I can check with the 311, which does not have same capacity with 301, so whether check my query is right or not. So I will write 30311, I'm sorry. So it's giving me false because they does not have same capacity, so that's why a switch is not possible. So now I will move toward my another query, uh, query number, so whether the same exam in the given case. I've done with this. So now I will move toward query number 7, whether two students name have a common section of the given course name or no. So for this I will check my query again, I will explain it to you. So query number 7, in which I have taken the name of the first student and the Y is the name of the second student and Z is the course name. So I have taken these three things as an argument from my compiler. Then I'm checking that whether my then I'm putting this arguments into my student knowledge base to get the roll number, and the second name to get the and the second one for the section. I put the R, and R from R I'm
taking S from the knowledge base, and then I'm checking for the second student, and from that I'm getting the roll number, and from roll number I'm getting the section of the second student. The S and S should be same, otherwise the query is wrong. So I write the same uh, variable name for both sections because they should be same, and then it's checking whether the courses they both are learning or not. So sorry, they are taking or not. So now I will check. My query name is have common section. Have C capital common section. So first name is Aveen, Noor, my colleague name, and then I will write my name because we both belong to same section. And then we have to write the we have common section, then we have to write the course name. So course name should be like data structures. We both are taking data structures, and then I will put, so it's giving me true. Now I will check for uh, now I will check for with my friend Ahad, who ditched me at the time of course section selection. Ahad Raza. So it's giving me false. So now we can check with another Ahad Raza who is not from our section. Now I want to check with one of my another friend to check whether our query is correct or not. So Kadra Latif is also from our class. So now we are going to check whether she is from our class or not according to Prolog. So it's saying yes. So Kandra is in our class. So this was query number 7. Now I will move towards query number 9, which is the last query for me. So in this, I will see whether a instructor is teaching two sections or not. So the X is instructor name, X is instructor email, or X is the section. So query number 9 teaches two section, which means X is the name, and then we are putting X in the instructor knowledge base, and it is giving us E, which is the email, and then we are seeing that whether the instructor uh, from his or her email is teaching the section or not. So if he or she is teaching the section, then we write S. So now I will move towards my prologue again. Then I will write teaches two sections, and I will write name of our call instructor, Amin Chilwan. He is teaching section C and section number B. Section B. So it's telling me that Sir Amin Chilwan is teaching section B and section C. So this was the last query, and let me check for another instructor from the I will get the name of who's teaching to only one section. So yes, ma'am, I think all were near algebra. Miss Zunaira Sajid is teaching only one section. So I will write her name, Miss Zunaira Sajid. So it's giving me false, which means Miss Zunaira is not teaching two sections. So this was queries from my side. Now we will move toward even number queries, which my colleague AVEEN NOOR will tell us about.
Thank you, Haroon. Now I shall explain my part of the queries that were the even numbered queries. Can you see the screen?
Yes, AVEEN.
Okay, so we shall move on to the very first query. Before that, we shall imply a few statements to check whether our database was correct or not. This was because we had used strings and we wanted to make sure whether our database was working fine or not before we went ahead with any of the queries. As you can see, I already have a file I already have a file which has all the database that is required to make the queries. To save this file, we shall then load this file into our SWI Prolog. As you can see, it gives true. As you can see, it gives true. We shall now test whether our query is receiving the correct answer or not. We shall take the student predicate. We shall write x and y. As you can see, this shall give us for all of the students. You can also check this for a specific. We can also check this for a specific person. Um, we can check this for suppose Abdullah because that was easier first. Student. As you can see, it gives true. You can also press X here to check his roll number, and then you can see our strings are working fine. We shall now move ahead with the queries. So my very first query was query number 2, which said whether the given instructor name is teaching any of the sections of the given course name. For this we need an instructor name first of all, which is to be given to us, and a course name. As you can see, in query number 2, we have X, which is the instructor, that is teacher name, Y, which is course name. Now, from what I could understand, we have to make links, that is, find same arguments between different predicates in order to make sure that our AND statement returns true and moves on to the next statement and then combines with it to check whether that statement was true or not. So very first, as you can see, the predicate instructor had two arguments, that is email, which we have stated here as E, and that is also X. X here is actually the teacher name which is given to us, and we have placed it in the predicate instructor. Now we shall AND this with the statement teachers because we could find a common link between the two, that was the argument email. Now using teacher email, we shall combine this with the teacher's predicate, and from this we can, if this portion is true, then it means that that teacher with that email ID teaches this section. And now from that section, we shall move to the course. Now the course has also two options. That was one was course ID and the other was course name. The course name, then making the link between the course name, that was I, that was both course IDs. From this, we could find whether this was true or not. Now we shall run this on the prologue. Once again, I shall tell you that the answer should be that whether the instructor is whether the given instructor name is teaching any of the sections of given course name. We shall open our Excel sheets, and we can find any. We can use Sir Amin to run. Um, Let me confirm with the name so that we mess it up. So that it was is teaching. And the first argument that we have to give is the teacher name. The teacher name here we are using is Amin Chirwan. And the second thing that is to be given to us is the course name. Now the course name that Mr. Amin Chirwan teaches us is just a minute. computer organization and assembly language. Let's confirm whether we have used the word CS or not in our database. No, we have not. Which means that this should be enough that he is teaching this section, that he is teaching this course. Hence, our query number 2 has returned true, meaning that the means Haroon is teaching computer organization, which he is. We can also test it for another instructor, just to be sure. We will load the database now. So we're using another instructor course. We can go for Sir Irfan Shah, who is teaching us linear algebra. Since he is teaching us linear algebra, this is true. Now we can also test it for false statement, just to be sure. For another teacher, I'm going to write for psychology, since Irfan Shah does not teach us psychology. As you can see, it gives us false, hence our query is correct. Now we shall move on to the next query, that is query number 4. We shall first read the query number 4. Now the statement of query number 4 is, whether two courses with a given course name have the exam at the same time in the same room, meaning that they shall be giving us two course names. Remember, we have to use course names and not course IDs. Two course names that have, and then we shall use exam time to compare whether they are at the same time in the same room. Now, also we need to be sure that they have not given us any notification that we have to compare the dates as well. Hence, we can have a freehand over there. Now I shall explain the query to you. Room collision should have two course names. Course names, I repeat, and we shall use course T as name of first course, C as name of second course. Then, in order to create a link between exam time and courses, we should use the predicate course, which is using the name, that is title of course 1, and then this is the course ID of course. This is the course ID of course 1. We need this because in exam time we have not been directly given title. Instead, we have been given course ID, and thus we need course ID to make link between the two portions, between the two predicates. Secondly, we have used again course because we have been given two courses, and we need to repeat this for the same for the other course as well in order to get the course ID as well. Now we shall add these with exam time. Now, as you can see that in exam time, we have used L, that is the course ID, L, that is the course ID of course 1. And then we have used R in the second, where the course ID is to be used for second course. And then we have kept, as you can see, we have kept Y and Z the same because the time should be same. However, no such enforcement applies to the dates, as we have kept different variables such as U and X for time. And then also there is no and also we have used W and G for rooms here. Now, now if we run this, first we shall load obviously the database. Now we shall room collisions. Take the name room collision. Now the room collision should first have one course name. We can of course check the course names in order to ensure whether we're putting the correct data or not. We need two courses. Who should have exam at the same time. Mock date sheet. Okay, so that is not working. We are going to use discrete structures and data structures as these are the first ones I can see. Let's place data structures. Then we shall place discrete structures. True. Hence, it is true. that these two have an exam at the same time. The only comparison we had to make was between time, and as you can see that they have exam at the same time. That was the only comparison. Even though they have exam on the same day, that does not matter, as we shall also use another example to prove this. Let's compare marketing management and discrete or data structures. Anyone who uses the word. Let's compare marketing management. Marketing management. As you can see, it returns true. Hence there is no enforcement of the day. However, the time is there. As you can see, that both start at 9 to 10. Hence, that was true. Now we shall also run this for a false clause. That let's take linear algebra with data structures. Linear algebra. Now it returns false because they do not have exam at the same time. As you can see that linear algebra starts at a slot from 12:20 to 13:20, whereas data structure starts from 9 to 10 a.m. Hence our second, that is the fourth query, has also been proved. Now we shall move on to the next query, that is query number 6. Now, in query number 6, we have been asked whether the given room is being used as an exam room in the date sheet on the given day. Now, this means that they are going to give us two inputs. That is one given room and that the other is going to be given day. And then we have to compare whether this room is being used for an exam room on the date sheet on this day or not. Um, let's begin the query. In this query, since we were, of course, in the query exactly as given to us, we were given three inputs. We used from the database that was the query information that was given to us for the project. It had three inputs. Number one was day, number two was room, and number three was starting time. Meaning that the starting time should also be checked here. Then we kept day. Then we of course we only needed to use one thing for this. That was the exam time. And we had to compare whether there was an exam on this day or not. Meaning it had either to return true or false. We had to compare days. We had to compare starting time, ending time. Of course, there was no ending time that was not given to us, so that we kept it as y, the y variable. And then room ID is represented by R, and room ID is supposedly given to us to check for whether there is an exam in this room or not. And then Z was the course ID, that was the course ID of the course's exam that was going to take there. Now, first we shall first load the database. Then we shall use check room, three inputs. First we shall check whether this we shall discrete structures. We need to check. Again, this is not loading. Okay. We have to firstly look for a given room. Suppose 302, of course. Let's take 302. The very first thing that is given to us is day. I've taken day 1. Room is 302. Room and X. X here is the starting time. Starting time is given to us 9. It should return true. Of course, there was an exam at that time at that date. But if we similarly use this for second day, as you can see, there was no exam on second day. This returns as false, meaning that there was no exam on second day at this time. Similarly, if we make changes to timings, we can also get false or true according to that. However, on second day, there is no exam, hence it has returned false. We can also use another example just to be sure. On room 3, you can also change time slot. You can also change time slot to confirm. On day 3, no, let's go with day 4. It has a different time slot. On day 4, we have a linear algebra exam from 12:20 to 13:20. So day 4, 12. Give my stuff the time. Day 4. 12. So that means compare that we have given this in the database because the facts get found and the answer will also be false. Let's go check on exam time. In exam time we have written 12, 20, like this, of course, and 2302. It returns to it of course returns it returns to because only there is going to be this exam on that day, and then it returns false because we have finished the statement. Hence this query has also been proved. Now we shall move on to the next query, that is query number 8. Query number 8 was quite simple. As you can see, whether a given name belongs to two different roll numbers, meaning that they are going to give us one name and we have to compare whether two different people have it or not. For this query, as you can see in query number 8, we used the right statement just to be sure that for which name it belongs, for which roll number this name, for which other roll number this name belongs to. Firstly, we have taken n, which is the name of the student that is going to be given to us. Then we have taken two student conditions. We have to compare whether two students have it or not. Of course, one student will have it or not if we give it from the database or not. We have to make sure that two students have it or not. Hence, the name portion in both has been same, as they should have same names, but their roll numbers are obviously going to be different because not no both two students can be assigned the same roll numbers. And then we have used the condition not. Now, the only reason we have used the condition not is because if we do not use the condition not, then it gives true, and that is for that name again and again of the student that we have given for only one name. But if this means that x should not be equal to y, meaning that the student name, that the second student should not be the first student, it should be any student other than the first student. Now we can run this. First, we shall first load the database. After we have loaded the database, we shall write the we shall write the name of this query, that is belong to duplicate. Belong to duplicate. Now in this we are supposed to give a name. Let's give my name first. False, because this name does not belong to any other students. But just for testing purposes, we have done two things just to test whether this name belongs or not and this query is correct or not. We have firstly made I have firstly duplicated Moise. I shall also change his roll number so that there is no issue. Let's make it 600. And another name, we have also duplicated another name for testing purposes, because just to be sure. That is the name of my colleague Haroon Riasat. We shall start with Haroon Riasat first. It should return true because Haroon Riasat is already present. As you can see, it also gave us the roll number of whom this person belongs to, that is 2283. Hence, this query is true. It has tested. Okay, since it has tested true for Haroon Riasat, it means our double check is also correct. We have given another name. We have used the same student name for different roll numbers, and it also gave us the roll number of whom the student name belongs to. Thus, our query number 8 is also correct. Now we shall move on to the last query, that is query number 10 for even. In query number 10, they have asked whether a given instructor name teaches two different sections, meaning that they shall be giving us an instructor name that is going to be only one input here, and we are going to show whether that instructor teaches two different courses or not. Now, we need to be mindful of one thing, that the same courses that might be repeating the same courses. For example, as you can see that Shams Farouk is teaching two courses right now. That is going to be digital logistic design for AI and digital logistic design for DS. Hence, for this, it should return true probably. Okay, so the name of this, first we shall load, of course, we don't want to make any mistake. Then we are going to write the name, teachers, two courses. After that, we should, obviously, I'm using Shams Farouk. So, as you can see, he is teaching two different courses. That is, one digital logistic design for AI, and the other is digital logistic design for DS. Now, for Amin Chauhan, let's also check for him just to be sure, I need to check. Um, no, we've already tested the mean on quite a few times. Let's go with Zunera Sajid. As I can see that she is the only teacher who's teaching one course. Zunera, that's false. Investors have predicted that she was only teaching one course, that is linear algebra to CS, and you can see that there and her name is nowhere else to be found. Thus, this proves that our query number 10 is also true for both conditions, that whether a teacher is teaching two courses and whether a teacher is not teaching two courses. If a teacher is teaching two courses, then it should return true, just like it did in the case of Shams Farooq. He is teaching two courses. That was one for digital logistic design to AI and the other was digital logistic design to DS. However, Ms. Sunera Sajid was only teaching linear algebra to CS, hence it returned false for her. And here it concludes our queries. Thank you so much.
Now our prologue will tell us what to do next. Let me share my screen. So let's see what prologue wants us. Do you want to end this session? Sorry, just give me a second. It says Allah Hafiz, so we are going to end this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Allah.